So up next, so we'll move to the last keynote presentation of the session today. We have Mr. Mario Reyes, who's the co-founder and managing partner of Altered Ventures, and he's going to be talking about investing in the metaverse from emerging markets. So Mario, I hope
Hi, hi Naveen. How are you? Can you
all
guys hear
well.
me?
Yes, Mario. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for the invite. I'm ready to share my screen if I can.
Perfect. Yeah.
Cool. Well, hi everybody. Well, I want to achieve a couple of things here. We know we have a very small amount of time. So I'm Mario. I'm originally from Mexico, but I've been based in Silicon Valley since 12 years ago. I was fortunate enough to open in Latin America in 2006 the offices of Electronic Arts, and I moved to the headquarters in 2010. And the reason why I left EA in 2016 was to found and to start this smart VC fund that now is not a VC only. We are doing hybrid investments. And I want to show you a couple of things today. One, I want to show you first why I think it's more important than ever that the metaverse is way beyond games, why the convergence between immersive technologies and NFTs, blockchain, and yes, entertainment, but other things and other industries like productivity, etc. Now that we have heard, for example, recently Facebook to speaking about what they are building and what they have as a vision, I think it's more important for us to stress the point on how important is to invest in talent, how important is invest in talent, not only from US, not only from Western Europe, but specifically from places like Latin America, Eastern Europe, places like obviously Middle East, the Arab world, and Africa. So I've been working with emerging markets since my days at EA. When I was at the Electronic Arts, I was working as corporate director for business development in emerging markets, and I discovered a lot of talent in all these regions. So if I'm successful today, I will stress the point of why it is more important than ever to invest in XR, that means VR and AR, developers and studios and talent within our own regions first, in order to develop and increase the amount of projects and development in these industries. But first, let me show you why I believe this is important. This is our office, and I'm quote unquoting our office. This is Altered Ventures office. We don't have actually physical offices in the real world. What we have is, and I'm playing this as you would play a video game. I'm showing you this in real time. I am moving my cursor with my mouse, and I'm moving into this building that we have, which is the Altered Gallery. And this is an experiment that we did in order to achieve two things. One, how about we build our own office in the metaverse first? We launched this in May, and I love art. Obviously, I was by then very impressed about what was happening on the NFT space. And what I tried to do was to create a gallery with different experiments and different supports to different artists, right? So obviously, I'm not going to use a lot of my time showing you this gallery. This is not a demo session. But what I'm trying to say is that this is not a game. This is an experiment of a company, my company, Altered Ventures, and a small VC fund that is trying to showcase not only the art and the NFTs that we are investing in, but also things that, for example, we're going to showcase independent games that we are investing in. We are investing a lot in esports players. We're investing in independent developers, just on individuals, and we want to showcase their work in this way. For example, we can see not only 2D pieces, but these, for example, this filter. This is an Instagram and Snapchat filter that is created by an artist called Victoria in US. And obviously you can buy it in OpenSea. This is specifically a filter that you can add to your Snapchat and Instagram. And what we're building is this experiment because we believe that productivity and specifically investment, in our case, is going to be massive in this space. So we want to get early. We build this space that, as you are seeing, just for the NFT thing that we're building, but we have in development our own office. And when I say our own office, I'm talking about, for example, a place where if you're an investor, we can give you in this kind of format information of what we are doing as a fund, what is your minimum ticket of investment, what are the projects that we are kind of like building as a deal flow. If you're an entrepreneur and if you're a game developer or if you are an XR developer, we're going to have a space where you are going to be able to submit your work, etc. So what I'm saying is the metaverse is going to begin as a first stage, I believe, as the new web, right? That is actually why a lot of people is calling the metaverse the Web3, the third version of the web. But I think it's the potential of helping our own regions is really, really important to consider. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to start sharing my other presentation. Hold on a second here. Stop share. And now to the second part of the presentation, which is why and how we are building this. I'm going to navigate very rapidly because I'm 10 minutes away from finishing, but I'm going to navigate very rapidly on different slides in which we believe it's important to stress some points. One, obviously the COVID, the pandemic helped a lot the video game usage, but this is not only a one-time thing that is happening. This is happening for a long time. Let me show you very rapidly the story of and growth of the game industry. I know that there's a lot of people very familiar with the VR and XR technologies here today, but maybe there is not a lot of people familiarized or used to see numbers around the game industry. And the game industry is by far the biggest entertainment and tech industry in the world. Actually, not only the big games, what we call the AAA games, are the ones that we need to mention. A lot of independent games are considered in these numbers. But as you can see, this is a story that has been for decades. I've been working in the video game industry since 1998, and actually 2003 was the first year where games sold more money and had more revenue than music and film. Now in 2021, it is actually expected that by next year, 2022 or maybe 2023, game revenue will surpass music and film revenues together 3 times. You know, this is definitely and by far the biggest entertainment industry in the world. And if you're not investing in it, I think that you should think twice, because number one, there's a great global wealth transfer in the world, not only in developed countries and developed regions, but in emerging markets. You can see there, for example, it's a $15 trillion wealth transfer between generation in the next 10 years. This is going to be massive. For example, in the Middle East, we're talking about $500 billion. In Latin America, we're talking about $500 billion. That's why emerging markets are so similar with each other, because I believe that Middle East and Latin America and in the future, Sub-Saharan Africa are going to be very similar. I don't know if you know this, but the age or the average age of the gamer is 39 years old. This is not an industry for kids anymore. This is not something that is appealing to children only. Almost half of the gamers in the world are actually women. I don't know if you know this, but there are more women age 18 plus playing video games than boys. This is men beyond 18 years old playing video games. So the future of gaming in general is bright. it is expected that by 2025, it's going to be like $300 billion opportunity. But let's talk about emerging markets for a minute, because again, time is running. I think that you all are very familiar on the dynamics of the Middle East and Qatar growth and UAE growth. I mean, EMEA is something that is very familiar to you, but maybe Latin America is not so much. And Latin America is actually very similar to other dynamics in emerging markets. The countries, the regions that are growing the most, for example, Russia, Brazil, Mexico, Thailand, Philippines, obviously the Middle East, etc., are very similar within the dynamics. But the most important thing to stress here is that the growth is not there yet. There is a big opportunity to come early, and the metaverse and VR and AR technologies, I am convinced that are actually great entrance doors for achieving and surpassing this opportunity. Latin America game revenues are about now maybe $6.1, $6.2 billion in a very sustained growth, double-digit growth year over year. Mexico has been constantly being the leader of the region, even on top of Brazil. And this is because of the digital distribution. What we're doing in Altered Ventures and what I'm going to try in the next 5 minutes is to explain to you why I believe that for you in the Middle East, for us in Latin America, for other people in Eastern Europe, the real opportunity in the metaverse and the real opportunity in games specifically, because again, this is my industry, the time to speak right now is about gaming, are in 3 specific sectors. One of them, definitely the VR and AR and the immersive technologies. Very rapidly, the reason why I'm doing this is because these are the 3 high growth sectors that are not consolidated. And therefore, in the Middle East or in Latin America, if you as an investor or you as a developer, you are putting your energy, for example, in mobile games, this is kind of risky, right? Because the mobile games are already in steady growth. There are giant players. It is a space that is pretty much consolidated. But if you are actually developing VR, AR, independent games for PCs or consoles, if you are, I don't know, building something around esports and competitive gaming, then you are touching interesting sectors. And the reason why is because the personal opportunity to create games in terms of cost of money and time is actually going down and down and down year over year. There is a process called the democratization in game development that is actually not only about creation, but also about distribution. You are seeing here in this screen how big the DLC, that is called downloadable content market, how are games being distributed right now, as opposed that were distributed in the early 2000s, which was via a compact disc, a CD-ROM, right? Right now, obviously, everything is distributed in digital form. That's why the first sector we're investing, and it's going to be mentioned very rapidly, is the independent games, right? I mean, I believe that independent, small developers, small team developers, one people developer are going to be huge movers of the industry in the next 5 to 10 years, and especially in the XR and VR opportunity. The second sector we're investing is esports. I don't know if you know this, but the esports sector within the game industry is actually the fastest growing. It only has right now less audience than the football soccer. But right now, esports has more viewers than the NFL, the official baseball league, the NBA, and the hockey sport as an audience specifically. So we're only below the soccer phenomenon, obviously by many, many hundreds of millions of people. But I think that it is time to take seriously esports as an investment opportunity, as an investment platform. This is why we're investing also very heavily in esports. But last and not least, and this is why this is the opportunity for me to explain to you in the next 3 minutes why we are investing in VR. This is something that PwC is very familiar with. Obviously, this is an amazing slide that shows how big VR is going to be from now to, I believe, 2025 in terms of opportunity for growth rates. But this is not only about games. This is about development of productivity, development of other industries. Games were just the beginning, and now we are investing and we're helping our investors to jump into other categories. Categories where you are going to be able to work, to invest, to manage money, like in the case of this example, or sending emails or having just meetings with people. And this is why we created what I showed you at the beginning. This altered gallery thing that we created is only an experiment to show our investors, but also our deal flow projects, that if they are not touching in at least some way the immersive technologies, they are going to lose a huge opportunity that is in front of all emerging markets, not only Latin America, not only Middle East, but other emerging markets as Southeast Asia, Africa, etc. Because this is something that we already saw, and you are very familiar with this slide. If you believe that VR and AR is only going to be about these huge things in our heads like this, you are lacking a little bit of vision. I think that we need to remember that just a couple of decades ago, or a little bit more, the mobile phone was like this. We need to be ready not only for what we have been promised lately. We've been talking about the metaverse since 2016. I'm glad to see that everything is now more massive and other bigger and giant players are jumping into this, but we need to be ready for this as well. We need to be ready for really cool things. This is an example of Colombia video that is actually available in YouTube if you want to see it. We need to be ready for a real immersive world in which XR is going to be our everyday life. It's not only about games, it's not only about metaverse, it's not only about forgetting about the real world and just immerse ourselves into a headset. It's about interacting with products, interacting with retail, interacting with everything that is actually related now to the phenomenon called the metaverse. The metaverse, I'm not going to define it today. I'm sure that a lot of people are trying to define it right now. What I am only going to say is that the metaverse is a huge revenue opportunity, not only for the giants, not only for, I don't know, companies like Epic, but for companies that are ready to start exploring and experimenting from emerging markets what the post-COVID world has in store for us. I think that the metaverse is the business opportunity of a lifetime. This is why we have invested, for example, in startups like Superworld. If you don't know Superworld, you're missing out really big. You need to take a look to what they are building, superworldapp.com. This is why we are investing in a startup based in Prague that is called Victoria VR, which is going to be a decentralized blockchain-based world in VR. And this is why we're investing in a lot of industries and sectors within those three specific spaces. I am glad to mention, and now that Qatar is going to be the World Cup home very soon, that the goalkeeper and captain of the Mexican team, Memo Ochoa, by far the #1 athlete in Mexico and the most well-known and beloved athlete in Mexico, is now part of Altered Ventures. He joined Altered Ventures as a main investor, and he is, together with us, committing $1 million just to Latin America. If I am able, with Altered Ventures, to replicate this in other emerging markets, obviously not, I mean, $1 million is not a lot of money, I know, but it's $1 million in the case of Memo about NFT games, the convergence of games and blockchain. So if we are able to replicate with many individuals, with many people in many other emerging markets, this phenomenon, I think is going to be interesting and is going to be a phenomenon that we need to take a look to. Sorry for taking 3 more times of what was expected. If you want to take the time to write up my contact information, I use a lot WhatsApp and Telegram and IM in general, but I am also very active in Twitter. Altered Ventures is active in Twitter as well, Altered Ventures altogether. But well, thank you for the invite, and I hope that QATAR is going to keep growing as well as a leader on the XR and VR and AR technologies. Thank you, Naveen.
Thank you so much, Mario. In fact, yeah, I mean, that was a power-packed presentation, of course, and a lot of information about the gaming sector, and of course, in terms of Altered Ventures initiatives, both in Latin America and possibly in the Middle East. So really looking forward to it. And for the audience, and of course, yeah, we have close to about 170 plus delegates who are live at the moment, who are actually viewing this session, I mean, all the way from about 2 p.m. Qatar time. So yes, for them, we have Altered Ventures as one of our associate sponsors. Like Mr. Mario said, you're free to visit the booth, and yes, you can drop in your questions, and definitely Mario would be there to answer them. If not, yeah, you could call him or I mean, send him an email. So yeah, thanks so much there, Mario.